Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Now in today's tutorial I'm going to be sharing with you all how to make a really beautiful ranunculus flower. Now this flower is going to have lots of petals and it's really nice to make. It looks absolutely stunning and very delicate. I adore this flower. So without further ado, let's begin. If you'd like to see more videos, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button or that bell button to receive updates whenever I upload a brand new video. So guys, to make your ranunculus flower, all you need is some olive green coloured icing, the colour that you want to make your flower in this case I'm using peach. I've just got a 3cm foam bud here, which I've already put the wire in, and I've got a ranunculus cutter, a gem veining tool, it's got the nice little veins at the bottom, and a rolling pin. So you don't really need your foam pad, but you will need an apple tray and your storage board. So all we're going to do is we're just going to roll out our olive green paste on the second thinner setting, or the third. You can use any one of the two you prefer. Oh yes, and you will need some tweezers as well. So once you've rolled it out, I usually use the third thinnest. We need a circle cutter, just around the size of the top section of our foam bud. So it covers the top half, more or less. And then we're just going to cut out one piece and just pop it in our storage board. And then we're going to pop it through the pasta machine once again and get it down to the thinnest. Once it's down to the thinnest, we now want 5 pieces of the ranunculus petals. We only need the foam pad for this section and our rolling pin or a ball tool. So all we're going to do is we're just going to make it slightly bigger, but not too much. So we're not thinning it out, we're just making it a little bit bigger, all the way around in circles. And that's all we need that for. And we're just going to turn it around and pop some glue on the other side. And then just stick it on top. So it's like a hat for the bud. Just like that. And then with our tweezers, we're just going to pinch. I'm just going to fold that up. Just going to pinch little bits of this hat. We're not pulling it, we're just pinching it. So once you've got this sort of a texture, we're just gonna pop this to one side and get our ranunculus petal, and with our veining tool we're just gonna put it in the middle of the petal and then just roll it, applying a little bit of pressure outwards. And you want to roll it out in the shape of the top bit of the petal, not the bottom. So try to not stretch the bottom bit as best as you can, but we're stretching the top bit. So I'll just show you one more time. So we don't want to move that bit here, so we just want to move the top bit only, so it just widens the top section and it's very little on the bottom side. It doesn't matter if it tears. So again, just like that. You see how it sort of curves as you're veining it. I can just get put back together like that. And you probably won't need all 5, so If you have extras, just pop them back in. Because it's a rather small bud, but it makes such a beautiful bloom sized flower. And then we're just going to flip them around. And apply sugar glue to the bottom edge along with the left and the right hand side. And then we're going to get our flower and we're going to apply the first petal really high, just so you have a small section of the center showing. So you want to pop it on and then just stretch it to tighten it up. And then what I usually do is just cut the bottom bit and press one side down first, and I leave that side up until the very end, and then overlap and then stretch that as well, just to make it a little bit more tight, and then cut that one as well, but that you can stick down from both sides. Glue the little head section together just like that. And then overlap that as well again. Stretch. And you want to really make sure the bottoms are all stuck, and then peel that first one back and just pop the last one underneath, overlapping the previous one. And then first glue that down. And then pull that back. And it doesn't matter if it tears because the other petals will overlap this bit. So as long as you can see the top bit, it's all good. Just like that. And then what we now want to do is wait for this to completely dry. So guys, once it's completely dried, all we're going to do is we're just going to dust it slightly with some spring green colour. For which all we're going to dust is the center bit, and the top sections of the petals. You don't want to go too dark, so just keep going over the coloured bits with your brush. And you can use a fluffy brush for this, just like so. And then we can just pop this to one side and then start working on our petals. So again, for this I've got the peach. And from this point out onwards, we do not need our foam pad. So get some icing and just roll it out and get quite a bit and just cut out as many petals as you can, as that will just save you some time. So you're not having to keep rolling it and cutting more petals. But you want to get it down to a thinner setting. So you want the same size petals. So guys, from that little long piece I was able to cut out quite a few. For our first row, you want 4 petals. And we're going to do the exact same thing. So just try not to stretch it too much. And then once you've done all 4, we're not going to use the apple tray for the first row. So again, you just want to glue the bottom section and the left and right parts of the petal. But make sure you flip them over. So we're not gluing on the veining part of the petal, we're gluing it on the back of it. So when you look at the flower, you've got the veins outside and not on the inside of the petal. And we just want to put it on a join. More or less at the same sort of height. But you want to glue one side down and then stretch the other side. So it's nice and tight at the top. And again, with the bottom bit, you can just cut it. And then again, same for that one, overlap as well. Don't forget to overlap. Glue one side down and then just stretch it from the top to stretch the petal, and then that'll just make it more tight at the top. And then cut that, overlap and stick. Then the next one. And then pull the first one back. If you can, if not, just glue it on top. It won't make a difference. Glue that down, stretch, pull that one back, and then glue both of them together. Just like that. And it doesn't matter if you've got a little bit of the green section showing as well. And you can lift them up a little bit if you want, but I like the inner petals quite tight, so I'm just going to leave it like that. And then let's move on to our next row of petals, which again you'll need 4. So again, just vein. And then just flip it over once you've finished veining it, so you don't glue the wrong side down. And again, glue the bottom section and the left and right. And then you want to place the first petal on the join of the previous row. And you can start putting it a little bit below so you can see this, the first layer. Overlap. It'll also help if you add your petals on an angle rather than up straight. So instead of adding it like that, overlapping it like that straight, you can add it at an angle. Just like that. And then if you want, you can glue this bit down as well, so it doesn't move. And again, at an angle, and then just make sure they're all stuck at the base. So then you should have something like that. And now I'm just going to leave this to dry a little bit. I don't want it to completely dry, but I just want it firm enough so I can add the 2 or 3 layers. So guys, from this point onwards, you will now need your apple tray. And I'm gonna, for the next couple of rows, you'll need between 5 to 7 petals per each row. So I'm gonna do them all more or less in one go, so I've got enough to go on for the next 2 to 3 rows. So once again, just stretch the petal with your veiner and then turn it upside down and then pop it in your apple tray. So you just want to be sure to keep flipping them over once you've veined them, so you glue the right side down. Because then when we go to gluing the petals, we can just lift them up and glue that bit down, so when you apply them, you've got the nice veining side of the petal on the outside. So it's highly important that you do not forget to do that. So however many petals that you were able to cut out when you rolled out the first slab of icing, just vein them all and pop them all into your apple tray for around 10 minutes, just until they're firm enough to hold their shape, but not firm enough so they break when you apply them. So guys, I've managed to do 18 petals over here with the leftover petals that I had. And what I'm now going to do is, whilst they're drying, I'm just going to roll out another piece of icing and I'm going to cut out some more petals. And when we've cut out these petals, these will be dried enough for me to add, so we'll come back shortly. So now that these have been drying, we're now going to add them to our flower, and we just need 5 petals to begin with. Sometimes you do tend to need 6, but I always use the 5 first, and then if I need to add another petal, I just pick it up from there. And you can see that they've got that nice little cup shape to them. And again, we just want to glue down the bottom of the petal and the left and right side. And this time I'm going to glue the top bit of it as well, just in the corners, on the join of the previous row. And this time I'm just going to apply it slightly higher, and then I'm going to stretch it as normal. Just going to put that, fold that up, and again scissors for the bottom. And this time you don't want it too tight, so you want a little bit of a gap there. So again, overlap by a half at an angle as well, and then pull that one back and stick that as well. And then you can just loosen them up from the top, should you want. But you want to make sure that the bottom bit and the sides are all stuck. And you should have something like that. And then we're going to now add our next row. And because we've got our petals already, we can just start adding them. And again, I'll first use 5, and then if I need to, I'll go for the 6th one. So again, we're just gluing the bottom left and right and the top corner. And you want to apply a generous amount of glue. And this time, you want to add it again slightly higher and on a join. Just a tiny bit. And then you want to stretch it and stick. At this point, you don't need to cut anything from the bottom, and you can just push that down and it'll stick. And then again, overlap by a half, stick them all down. And if you want them even more tighter from the top, just pull back the petals from one side and just pull them down a little more, and that'll just tighten it up from the top. And then you want to make sure they're all stuck at the bottom. And you don't want to rush this flower, or you don't want to work too fast. You want to wait patiently for each row to dry. I tend to add at least 3 or 4 rows and then I leave it to dry completely. So every 3 or 4 rows I leave it to dry. But I'll probably add this next one now. And for this one I'm going to do 6 petals. And now we're going to add them at the same height or slightly below the previous row, because we're now going to start opening the petals a little bit more. You still want to pull them and stretch them from both sides. But now we will start opening the petals. So just keep adding the petals on an angle. Pull that one back and then add that one in. There. And then if you want, you can pull them back even more. But just make sure that they are stuck. Just like that. And now we're just going to wait for this to completely dry before moving on to our next layers. So guys, now that this is dried, we can now go ahead and work on our next few rows. So I'm just going to pop that to the side. We're going to do the exact same thing with the petals. So go ahead and do this for all 35 petals more, and when you finish your 35th one, your first row of 6 petals should be all ready to use. But remember to flip them upside down and then put them into the apple tray. So guys, now that the apple tray is completely full with the petals, we're now going to start off using the ones that we did at the very beginning. And they are more or less dried, but they're not too dried, so they tear whilst I'm adding them. We're now going to use 6 petals. And again, we're going to glue the bottoms and the left and right sides of the petals on the join of the previous row at the same height or slightly below and on an angle. Sticking the first one down, overlapping by a half, sticking the next one down, and so on. And by the time you've added the whole layers of the petals, you should be at the base of the bud. And then you can just open them up, because at this stage we want the flower to be opening up a little more than the inner petals, just like so. And now we can move on to the next row, and this time we're going to use 7 petals. So once again, below the previous row and on the join, and then open them up ever so slightly. just like that. So at this stage you can leave this to dry for a short while before you add your next layer. I'm just going to go pop it in the oven for around 5 to 10 minutes, just so it's a little bit more dry, and I can add the next layer. So guys, now that it's completely dried, I'm now going to add our next layer. And over here I've got 7 petals. And again, we want to put it on a join and below the previous row. So by now you should be at the base of the bud. And this time we're not stretching it from the sides, we're just putting it on and just gluing it down. And make sure they're all stuck. Turn it upright. Open them up a little more. If they're falling off, like mine are, then just hang it upside down for a short while. And I'm first gonna cover the base again with another layer. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we can hang it upside down. So again, another row of petals. And this time I'm only going to do 5, and if I need to get some more, I'll just pick them up from the apple tray, and I can get one more in. So just one little small one. And I've only just used the one size for the petal cutter for the whole flower. And now I'm going to leave this upside down for a short while until the last 2 layers are able to hold themselves upright, and then I'm just going to open them up further so they're not too close to the previous row. And now I'm just going to hang it upright and wait for that to completely dry. And then that's our finished bloomed ranunculus flower. Just look at the amount of layers and petals on this flower. So we're now going to set this aside to dry completely. Right guys, are you ready for the ranunculus glow? There we have our beautiful ranunculuses. Absolutely stunning flowers. And I've even got some buds over here. Just look at the amount of petals are on there. So I'm just going to carefully pick up the one that I made on video, just so you can get a better look at it. And that's the one that I did. Just look how beautiful that looks, and so realistic looking. There's an unbelievable amount of petals on there, but it looks absolutely stunning. And then I did another one. If I just pop that one to the side, I did a larger one in the same colour. So you can compare the two, and one is a little bit bigger than the other. And it's using the same size petal cutters and the same size bud. It's just the way they've been made. So you don't always have to use a bigger size bud. Absolutely perfect. It's just got more layers on, this one has. But look how stunning they look. I'm so impressed with these flowers. I absolutely adore them now. So guys, on that beautiful note, this video has come to an end. I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, guys. If you have, please give it a big thumbs up. Please also show your support by subscribing to my channel and hitting that bell icon as well, as that's when YouTube would let you guys know that this girl has uploaded a brand new video. I'll be back next week with another new tutorial. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now.